in this video, we will continue the figures of speech that we have in literature, and we are moving to another one, which is the climax. And when we talk about the climax, it is the arrangement of series of ideas in the order of increasing importance. We have ideas arranged and they are at the level of increasing importance. Now, let's see an example. For a piece of work, man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in action, how like an angel. Now, when we look at this, we will see an increase in importance. That means from the least important to the most important. We are going gradually. Now, I will try to take this together with the anticlimax, or what we call the battles. Now, this is the opposite of the climax and signifies a lucrative descent from a higher to the lower. So we see example here, a man so various that it seems to be not one but all mankind epitome, who in the course of one revolving moon was lawyer, statesman, fiddler, and buffon. Now, when you look at this, you will see the arrangement of lawyer, statesman, fiddler, buffon. It's as if from the higher to the lower, from the most important to the least important. But for climax, it is from the least important to the most important. I came, I saw, I conquered is a climax. But we can change it to an anticlimax. I conquered, I saw, I came. That would be a case of anticlimax. So we have another literary device, alliteration. And when we talk about alliteration, is a figure of sound. Most times we have been dealing with tropes and figures of speech that are at the level of the semantics, words. Now, alliteration operates at the level of the phonology, the sound system. Now, when we talk about alliteration, we are talking about the repetition of the same letter or syllable at the beginning of two or more words. So, when we look at this, for instance, by apt alliterations artful, glittering, through the gloomy, the furrow follows. Now, this is where we have alliteration. There are series of words and they are at the beginning have similar sounds. That is alliteration. In most cases, as we have it, they are always consonants. So, repetition of glittering, gloomy. Furrow follows. Furrow started with the F sound, the fricative F, voiceless fricative, and then with another voiceless fricative F. So that is a case of alliteration. Then we have onomatopoeia. And onomatopoeia is a case in which the sound of a word, the word sounds like the way it sounds, the way it is echoed. That means the way maybe an object sound is also the word itself. So, to clarify it better, the formation of word whose sound is made to suggest the sense. For instance, if you hear bang, bang is like the sound that is made when we hit an object on another. Bang. Also, the hissing of a snake is like the sound that is made when a snake is actually making a sound. That is a case of onomatopoeia. Also, we have circumlocution. And when we talk about circumlocution, it is the expression of some fact or idea in an indirect way. what they call the roundabout way. Instead of stating it at once, we are going through corners. For instance, the viewless couriers of the year. We are just beating about the bush here. What we are still referring to is the wind, viewless couriers of the year. The statement of his way, purely an effort of imagination, a fiction. Instead of saying the statement of his was a fiction, you say an effort of imagination. The viewless courier of the air, the courier simply just say the wind. So the viewless couriers of the air is blowing gently. The wind is simply the direct way. So by using this long expression for just a simple idea, the person is using circumlocution. Then we have tautology or pleonasm. Tautology or pleonasm. Now, tautology is meant for repeating the same fact or idea in different words. That means the repetition of the same idea. It is the privilege and birthright of every man to express his ideas without any fear. Privilege, birthright. Privilege, birthright is a case of tautology. It's either you just pick birthright or you pick privilege. So what the person have used is tautology. Then we have allusion. When we talk about allusion, allusion is a direct or indirect reference to a familiar figure, a familiar place, a familiar event in history, a familiar literary work, a familiar myth, a familiar biblical story. Any reference of such is a case of allusion. For example, he gave me a kiss of death. What comes to mind? Judas Iscariot. That is a case of biblical allusion. We can have historical allusion, reference to the past, historical happenings. We can have mythological allusion, allusion to myths and all that. These are cases of, for instance, we can start talking about Odudua and some other things that we have. That's a case of allusion. Then we have assonance. Is the close repetition of similar vowel sounds, usually in stressed syllable at the middle of words in the same line of a poem. Now, in the same line, we can have the repetition of the same vowel sound, especially in stressed syllables. For instance, here we have fleet, feet sweepy by sleeping geese. So when we look at the fleet, we have the long E sound. Fleet, feet sweep by sleeping geese. So the repetition of that E, long E sound, which is a long vowel in English, is a case of assonance. Then we have the paradox. And when we talk about the paradox, it's similarly absorbed or contradictory statements when investigated may prove to be found to be true. That means a self-contradictory statement that actually seems untrue, but in close examination actually is true. So that is also a case of paradox. For instance, what a pity that youth must be wasted on the young. It looks contradictory. How can a youth waste on young? But if we actually take a good look at it, it is actually possible. Or for instance, when we have examples like the egg is the father of the hen. It looks like senseless talk. How can the egg be the father of the hen? The hen should be the father of the egg. But the truth is, a egg produced the hen, and that is a case of paradox. And also when we have example, is that for you to win a war, sometimes you must lose some battles. it really looks contradictory. How will I lose battle because I want to win war? If I have lost a battle, that means I have lost the war. But the truth of the matter is that that is actually self-contradictory, but in the real sense can be true in itself.
This is Valdymas College of Advanced and Preliminary Studies. We do excellent A-level programs for guaranteed admission into 200 level. We are in the success business and we transform